and in the whole mission. Unfortunately, he is under the influence of his wife Ida, who cannot gain anything from the whole ordeal, which is why, in regards to her alleged interest, she plays a poor game and is not willing to carry the financial obligations that the rest of the group members have voluntarily taken upon themselves. Through her greed and deceitful efforts, she continuously strives to alienate her husband Karl from the mission and all related obligations, as well as the group members. This will, unfortunately, succeed in the not-too-distant future. Consequently, you must be prepared for the fact that the two will soon go their ways. However, at a later time, Karl will join the passive group against Ida's wishes and turn to the spirit teachings. This, however, will still take some time, but his path towards this is certain. Those are the unpleasant matters that I had to report to you, so that you can prepare for them. However, this will not be an easy burden on you because I know your thoughts and feelings and, therefore, know that you simply can't ignore everything easily. It is also clear to you, however, that you can't change anything that has been said because a look into the future has proven that everything will arise in such a way. Billy says then I will also be quiet about that. Patar says that is the right thing to do. Billy says a thought hit me. If it is possible, I would like to ask 2 more questions. Patar says just ask. Billy says the first question refers to Adolf Hitler, i.e. the Nazi regime and the Vatican. You told me once that the so-called Holy See, that is the Vatican, the Pope, had somehow cooperated with Hitler. Can you tell me anything more about this? Patar says there were 2 popes who got their hands dirty in the game with the Nazi regime. These were the Popes Pius XI, from 1922 to 1939, and Pius XII, who held his office from 1939 to 1958. Both men have actively and consistently caused immense damage to the Jews through their machinations with Adolf Hitler and his henchmen, and both men completely and consciously accepted the murder of more than 4.5 million Jews and nearly 3 million criminals and people who were sick in psyche and consciousness by the Nazi regime. Both popes have criminally cooperated with Adolf Hitler and have, absolutely and indifferently, accepted the Holocaust. Quite deliberately, they have irresponsibly tolerated the persecution and murder of the Jews and the so-called final solution, whereby both popes still undertook incredible steps to promote anti-Semitism. Thus, the Holy See, that is the Vatican and the 2 popes were in common cause with Adolf Hitler and his regime. On June 30, 1933, Pope Pius XI and his cardinals and bishops even gave a resolution in writing that the Holy See would not undertake anything against Hitler or the whole Nazi regime, whereby the text of this resolution stated that, as long as Hitler does not declare war against the Holy See and the dignitaries in Germany, the Holy See and the Catholic dignitaries in Germany should refuse to condemn Hitler's party. However, both popes also cooperated with Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union in a criminal manner. Already in the single '20s, Pope Pius XI came to the dictator and forged criminal plans with him against Judaism, as did also Pope Pius XII equally when he reached church power. Naturally, all of the cardinals were also involved in it without exception. The whole thing ended only with Stalin's death on the 5th of March, 1953. Billy says thanks for the explanations. The other question is, do you know what really happened in the Big Bang? I mean about whether or not all building blocks already existed in the tiny energy fleet from which the original explosion of the universe, that is the creation, arose. Or is it possible that all elements formed only after the Big Bang? How many elements, that is basic building blocks, were concentrated and where? And are the creation energy and, thus, the spirit energy also arranged at the nuclear levels? Patar says that is not just one question, my friend. But listen, the spirit energy, or creation energy, consists of 7 nuclear levels which are of a fine material type, while the 7 nuclear levels of the real atom's coarse material form reach down into the first fine material level, that is half material, half fine material. In the material, as is the case with the spiritual energetic, that is creation energetic, planes, these more fine nuclear levels under the real uppermost nuclear levels are called subatomic levels by us. There are 280 raw materials, or basic elements, and these were already contained in the tiny original core from which the Big Bang developed. The elements did not form only after the explosion but were already existent before in the tiny core which we call energy fetus. To repeat as you understand absolutely correctly, the basic building blocks of original material consisting of 280 elements, which were the basis for all later matter and today's universe, were included in the energy fetus, which was the original core of all that exists in today's universe and all its dimensions. Of course, all of the fine material elements were also equally included in the original core, that is the energy fetus. The original generation of the universe resulted from an idea of the original creation which created the original core, just a flea-sized product full of energy that was created out of a consciousness formed by itself and that accumulated its energy and evolved in strength. In the balance of the accumulation of energy and strength, there originated all 280 basic elements and, with these, the energy fetus, in which an immense pressure and a temperature of millions of degrees developed, causing the original explosion of the universe, the Big Bang, as this process is called by you. 1 hour, Quetzal returns. We want to hear what he has to report to us. Billy says in 1 hour, he has probably found out something. Ah, there he is already. Quetzal says greetings. Unfortunately, I need more time than I had planned. Patar says we discussed, in the meantime, the necessities. But what has arisen now? Quetzal says the buildings and the country don't look very pleasant, and this is unfit for the economic development of the land. What exists with respect to the buildings represents an extremely poor design that was carried out by incompetent labor. Moreover, everything is in a semi-finished state and is, therefore, unsuitable. Real and useful progress is not to be expected under the given circumstances, which is why a sale of the whole thing would be appropriate in order to acquire and provide something more useful elsewhere. As I have found, just the boundary zone of Switzerland would be suitable for the relevant persons in the entire Austrian country if the possibility does not exist for them that they can move to the immediate vicinity of the centre, which is very doubtful, however, given the Swiss laws. Together with a rather unhealthy lifestyle in regards to food, the people there led an enterprise which cannot be productive. They are members of an association that only lives off of products that contain very little or no animal substances. Their appearance is also poor and unhealthy, which should draw the attention of our friend to them. A new residence in an appropriate place would also ensure that the men can be trained in various organizational and industrial concerns, because in these things, they are not qualified enough to be able to construct something real and durable, as well as fully utilizable. We would have to transfer this additional task to our friend. Semyaza says he already has enough of a load to carry. Quetzal says this would be, however, the only possibility for the entire enterprise to be successful. It would also be a very good opportunity to construct the second center in Austria. Semyaza says provided that the persons involved always agree and that the words addressed to us are serious, as we understand them to be, and also that they do not deceive us because we are not fully able to create precise clarifications relating to this because our directives do not allow us to penetrate into the internal thoughts, etc. of the people. Thus, we can only fathom the superficial matters, but we cannot recognize lie and deception. So we do not know if everything is sincere. Quetzal says that will prove itself once they are notified of our decision and advice. Semyaza says sure, we have to wait for their actions and their decision. So we can postpone these interests and must still turn to other things that I now have to discuss with our friend, which must, nevertheless, remain among us. These are as follows. Billy says, my head is smoking. Quetzal says, unfortunately, we are not finished yet because I also have to give you a few more concerns.